just looks like the one change to be made to your lineup here tonight with JBD coming in.
Yeah, JBD will come in, and we'll see who comes out at game time.
TJ, it's the first game of this crucial 10-game stretch that Pierre talked about. What specific improvements do you need to see from your team tonight?
Decision-making under pressure. If it's a tie game or it's the end of the period, if you have a lead, if you're trailing late, whatever the situation is, we have to be better under those circumstances. I think you can look back at how many points we've kind of lost in the first 11 games where we haven't made the right decisions in the last 2 minutes of a period, last 3-4 minutes of games. They've piled up. And that's something for me. We've showed a lot of maturity in some games, and we need to see that going forward here. And you got to start grabbing points.
And Bernard Docker, you weren't married to having him with Shabbat tonight, but do you plan on at least starting that way, or how do you kind of plan on deploying him?
Yeah, I think we'll start that way. I mean, that's a pretty high-octane offense over there. If you look at their three centers, probably as deep as anyone down the middle. So I don't know how many minutes you'll want to have him out there against those top guys. I mean, he's going to get some for sure. Shabby plays a lot of minutes, so but he will play some shifts with Shabby for sure.
What do you want to see from those two together?
Well, obviously Shabby wants to get in the rush and create some offense. Doc has to be a guy that's looking out for that and has to be able to clean up, if it is an odd man rush going the other way. And then for Doc himself, he's got to be able to help us break the puck out, get some pucks to the net offensively. Our defense haven't had enough shots on net. In these games, I think we're averaging around 8 a game. It's got to be higher than that for me. And I think Doc's one of those guys. And when he's been up and when he was up last year, I think he got some pucks to the net for us. He showed a little bit of offensive touch there at the end last year. So let's hope he can get that going.
Coach, what do you need more of from your penalty killers?
I don't want to say desperation because those guys are all good at what they do and they all block shots. I think it's the failed clears and really bearing down at the end of, I think we've been scored on 3 times in under the last 15 seconds of the penalty kill, and they all come from failed clears. And when you fail clear or you don't get it all the way down, maybe you don't get a change, and then you're not organized. So we've been scored on 9 of 11 games, on the penalty kill. We've had some really good stretches of penalty killing as well. It's not like it's we're getting hemmed in. It's I think we've made some big mistakes, flipping it over the glass, putting us down 5-on-3, those kind of turnovers. Those are all mental, and I think that has to be better.
You had a gambrel over Guslick yesterday. Is that what you're doing tonight?
No, Costello will play.
You have the luxury of moving Pinto up or down, but do you like the identity of that third line?
I think that's probably been our most consistent line right from training camp on. As of right now, the Timmy Brady and Giroux have played really well. But in saying that, the 14-57-21 has probably been our best line and created the most offense 5-on-5, up until Norris got hurt. So, I think it was natural to want to put Shane in the middle of those two guys. But I think with a couple of the offensive lines that these guys have and having last change, I'd like that line to play against one of them.
DJ, Erik Brannstrom has played every game this year, played all situations. You've moved him up and down with a couple of different partners. Has he become a lot more versatile this year for you?
Yeah, for sure. And I think it starts with him killing penalties last year. I haven't heard anyone talk about that. But I think when he wasn't on the power play and he started to kill penalties, I think he had a bit of a confidence come over him that he can be used in different situations. And I think he's done a nice job on the penalty kill. He's cleared pucks. He's quick to pucks. We've used him on the power play. And I think he's at that age where he's starting to believe that he belongs. It's different when you're young and people tell you should be out there. But you have to earn your own confidence. And I've talked about that with him before. He's played the right side, the left side. He'll play some offensive shifts with Shabby on the right side. I thought he was real good last game, and he continues to get better.
What do you anticipate from Vancouver?
What's that?
What do you anticipate from Vancouver?
Well, I looked over their last 5 games. They've outchanced the other team, I think, 28-20 in 8 chances. Their power play is really, really good. Like I said, with Besser back, now you've got 3 legitimate centers. They can create all kinds of offense for you. And, they come out real quick. They were out to a 3-0 lead last game. Their last few games I watched, their first period's been really good. They're deep. I mean, I don't know if there's a team in our league that you play that you look at and you really see, oh boy, you can exploit them there. Everyone's got strengths and weaknesses, and everyone in the league can beat everyone. And Vancouver's one of those teams that I think they could play with anybody on any given night.
How about start?
What's that?
Talbot?
Yeah, Talbot will start.
On Brannstrom, DJ, like as part of the growth too, like even for certain guys, I mean, maybe they come in with offensive instincts and that's kind of how you're scouted, but is there maybe a switch that flips at some point where the understanding that you can still play in the league a long time being a good defender as well, and does that come with it?
Oh, for sure. I mean, you look at some of the guys that have come in and had flash-in-the-pan offensive seasons, and then 2 years later they're out of the league because they can't defend. Because someone comes and does just as good as them or better offensively, but they can defend. And I think that's the biggest thing for a young offensive guy is, you want to create offense, but at the same point, you have to be able to defend and keep the puck out of your net. If you can do that while moving pucks and get pucks to the net, you're going to be useful, and someone's always going to need your services.
Being the last ones for block shots right now, is that something you need to address, or is that becoming an issue for you? Being part of your identity, blocking shots?
Well, there's two different ways to look at that. One, we have talked about when the puck gets to the top, we've got to block shots. But also when you look at who the leaders in block shots are, a lot of times it's the team that spends the most time in their zone is the team that blocks the most shots, because you're constantly under siege and you have to block shots to stay alive. So there's two different ways to look at that. I think we've been, last few games, we haven't spent a whole ton of time in our zone. But when it does get to the top, I expect everyone's going to block it. I think everyone knows the guys that do it, the Austin Watsons, the defensemen are willing to block it every time. If everyone's got to be desperate if we're gonna get winning and we're gonna get out of this thing. So that's fair. But like I said, I think there's two different ways to look at that. I don't know who leads the league in block shots. I didn't look at that. But I would say usually that is a case of a team that spends a ton of time in their zone.
You use the word desperate. Is that how you guys are feeling right there?
No, I think we have to be desperate in situations. I don't think we've been desperate enough in situations on the penalty kill in the last, 3 minutes or 2 minutes of a period. I think those are key moments for mature teams. And when you watch, a playoff game or teams that win regularly, they take care of the puck, they get pucks in, they just do simple things. And I think that's what we have to do. And not dumb it down, but we have to take care of the puck, do what's right. And sometimes it takes a little more effort. And I think sometimes when you're not winning, you squeeze it. We don't want guys to squeeze it. We want guys to go out there and play under instincts, but also in key moments, you got to know what you got to do.